Welcome to the live stream. It's been a little while since the last one. I think it's been about a week. I deliberately didn't stream for a week because sometimes I feel like I'm streaming too much, and the way I gauge that is number one, the number of people on the streams, and number two, the interest in me opening the phone lines vis-a-vis a new member challenge, which is usually 10 new members, and with the size audience we get on the streams if I'm not doing too many streams, we should be able to get those 10 new members and open the phone lines. If there's not enough demand for that when we have like 1,000 people on the stream, it probably means I'm streaming too much. And sadly, last time, we only got to 9 out of 10 new members. The phone lines didn't get open. I ended the stream and cried in the next room over for about a half hour because I was so triggered. People invaded my safe space and didn't become members. So anyway, I took a week off. I've been busy anyway. I was away all weekend. And I'm back here and it's a stream and we have a ton of stuff to talk about. I already see people trolling the chat before the stream even started. We have stories to talk about. We will take super chats. I may open the phone lines. I'll get to that momentarily. But there is just major, major, major news happening here regarding two sets of subpoenas that have been okayed to go forward, which I'm going to talk about. So I'll get right into it rather than filibustering and talking about memberships and trolling and all sorts of different stuff. I'll just get right into the content, and then later we'll see what else people are hoping I will do during the stream. Take phone calls, play chess against people in the audience, whatever else. Okay, so we'll get into it. But the big news is reported by the New York Times. Not only have House Democrats moved forward on demanding 6 years of Donald Trump's tax returns from the IRS under subpoena, they have also approved the use of subpoena to obtain a full unredacted Robert Mueller report, which at this point, I mean, I'll go into it in detail tomorrow. It's not clear what we're going to get. It's not clear who we're going to get it from. It's not clear who is going to get a chance to redact stuff before it comes out. We just don't know. So subpoena power, it may well be happening. So let's go through this one piece at a time because there's a lot here. First, on the IRS stuff, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, using a little known provision in the federal tax code, formally requested today that the IRS hand over 6 years of President Trump's personal and business tax returns, starting what is likely to be a momentous fight with his administration. I think this is a worthwhile fight, even if the Democrats lose, because reminding the voting public that, oh yeah, we still haven't seen his tax returns is a great thing to do in terms of electoral politics. By the way, Bernie's going to have to release his, okay? Bernie's not exempt from this. I know Bernie hasn't released his tax returns. He said he's going to. He should, and I'm going to hold him to the same standard. Don't you worry. We're absolutely going to. Congressman Richard E. Neal, who I know personally, he used to be my congressman. He's been on the show. I've talked to him on air and off air. Really good guy. Democrat of Massachusetts, hand delivered a 2-page letter laying out the request to the Internal Revenue Service Commissioner, ending months of speculation about when he would do so, and almost certainly prompting a legal challenge from the Trump administration. Responding to questions from reporters in the Oval Office, Trump suggested he would fight the request because he said he was being audited. Still using that excuse. I guess when you have a name, you are audited, but until such time as I'm not under audit, I would not be inclined to do that. Of course, Michael Cohen, to the extent that we believe Michael Cohen, said he is not aware of Donald Trump being under audit, and I believe he would know. And that is not a reason to not release your tax returns. There's absolutely nothing about being under audit, if it's true, that would preclude him from releasing his tax returns. And again, this is not what Trump wants. These are subpoenas, and this is ultimately going to be a legal battle, not Trump is under audit and he doesn't want the stuff released. So that's number one related to the taxes. Let me see if there's anything relevant here. Okay, this is now part two. So this was part one, but now it has become part two because of the tax return component. Other panels controlled by House Democrats were flexing their muscles. The House Judiciary Committee this morning authorized its chairman, Jerry Nadler, to use a subpoena to try to force the Justice Department to give Congress a full copy of the special counsel's report and all of the underlying evidence used to reach his conclusions on Russian interference in the 2016 election. Now, this is really important, and I think it's in the second paragraph. The chairman of the House Oversight and Reform Committee said he would soon ask for a vote on a subpoena of his own. Okay. No, this has not. This is a different thing. Here's the point I wanted to make. The House committee today authorized Chairman Nadler to use subpoena power to get an unredacted version of the Mueller report. They have not issued that subpoena. Okay. Jerry Nadler said, and maybe I can even pull up. Actually, I don't think it is on his Twitter account. Jerry Nadler has now been authorized by the committee to use subpoena power should he determine it necessary. He said, and it's been reported by a couple of different media outlets, that he is going to wait to see if William Barr gives him a version of the Mueller report that is unredacted enough to be considered a full version before he makes a decision about utilizing that subpoena power. So we don't actually know yet whether that subpoena is going to be issued or not. Okay, let's continue with this article. Unlike the chairman of other committees, Mr. Neal is not relying on a subpoena or standard congressional processes. He is invoking an authority enshrined in the tax code granted only to the tax writing committees in Congress that gives the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee and the Senate Finance Committee the power to request tax information on any filer. Mr. Neal gave the agency until April 10 to comply with the request, and if he receives the information, he will then confidentially review it with his committee staff. Let me look at the calendar, because when is the 10th is, oh, it's a week from today. It's next Wednesday. Okay. So I'm not hosting the show on Tuesday. Ben Dixon will be filling in for me because I'll be heading out to Las Vegas for a progressive media meeting of the minds at the Mass Torts Made Perfect conference, hosted by attorney Mike Papantonio, a great friend of the show for a very long time. So I'm guessing we will learn whether this request has been fulfilled, declined, or sort of in limbo, either on Wednesday the 10th or Thursday the 11th, and I will be hosting both of those shows. So that's good. I don't like missing big news stuff that goes on. What else do we have here? The provision dates in some form to the Teapot Dome scandal of Warren G. Harding's administration, at least on its face, gives the Trump administration little room to decline a request like Mr. Neal's. It only says that the Treasury Secretary shall furnish the information. Now, of course, the Treasury Secretary is handpicked, a handpicked Trump loyalist. So we will see what happens. The most likely scenario is not that the Treasury Secretary says to Richard Neal, our friend, here you go, here's Trump's taxes. The most likely scenario is that some kind of emergency injunction or delay is granted somewhere along the line on the basis of the tax returns potentially being injurious to Trump, which of course raises the question, why would they be injurious? Now, I don't know if the majority of our audience thinks that Donald Trump's taxes would expose criminality. I don't think they would. I think the most likely scenario is that Donald Trump's taxes expose that he's not nearly as wealthy as he claims to be. Michael Cohen has asserted, and others believe it is credible, that Donald Trump inflates his net worth for the purposes of Forbes rankings and obtaining loans, and then for tax purposes decreases the value of his assets or the value of buildings, whatever the case may be. I think that's the most likely scenario. It would be an ego damage to Donald Trump, but I don't actually think the most likely scenario here is that Donald Trump's any criminality is going to be exposed by Trump's tax returns. I think the financial fraud, money laundering, all of that stuff is happening more than likely at the corporate level. And number two, in ways that would be sort of shielded from Donald Trump's personal taxes. Did I just freeze there? I hope I'm not freezing. There seems to be something kind of weird going on with the connection here. Let me know in the chat if people, if I'm freezing or something like that. Con artist as president. Did I freeze? I know there's a slight delay. No, Jeb Bush said, oh, glad to have Jeb Bush here. Jeb Bush says I did not freeze. All right. I guess I didn't freeze. That's a good thing. Okay. So that's what's going on with subpoenas of both or requests of both Donald Trump's tax returns and an unredacted Mueller report. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I will be talking about this tomorrow, We talked on today's program already about how Donald Trump, during a very strange press availability in the Oval Office yesterday, oh, I did freeze, people said. I was getting blurry and froze momentarily. Okay, I hope it doesn't continue to happen. My CPU usage on the stream is only 6% because the computer is so powerful that I'm using. It's extraordinarily powerful. But I wonder if like Windows pushed an update or something like that. Uh, yeah, I don't know what caused that, but I do apologize. Um, the This Oval Office moment yesterday had Donald Trump claiming that his father was born in Germany, which just isn't true. And saying that he wants to know the oranges rather than the origins. He said it twice and looked confused, visibly confused, of the Mueller investigation that wants that investigated. And it was really weird. He also has now said privately that wind turbines cause cancer via noise. And this is just getting extraordinarily weird, and we're going to talk about that on the program tomorrow. I think the most likely scenario here is some kind of cognitive decline. I'm not saying the guy is demented. I'm not saying that he has full-blown Alzheimer's. I'm saying he's in his early 70s. He's under a lot of pressure. He's under a lot of stress, and that is an age at which stress and pressure. I'm sounding like him, United States of America, Jerusalem. That pressure is something that could accelerate or exacerbate this mild sort of pre-dementia state that mental health professionals that I've interviewed say that he is under. I don't think that we need to look too much further. What's going on seems relatively obvious. This is extraordinarily unusual behavior, and Donald Trump now claiming that the noise from wind turbines can cause cancer, and there's no evidence of that. It does appear that there are effects on birds, for example, from these wind turbines, although the number of birds killed by wind turbines is less than the number of birds killed by other forms of power, including coal, which Donald Trump is trying to revive. So we're going to get into that in detail on tomorrow's program. I don't want to get ahead of it, but certainly a lot to discuss. So let me again welcome everybody to the live stream. We have this is really live unless you're watching a replay, which means that you can participate. A couple of ways to participate. In the immediate, you can use Super Chat to ask questions and send comments. We've got a couple of Super Chats, one, two, looks like three that have come in already. That's the $ at the bottom of the chat window. It will pop up on screen, and I will go to those momentarily. If you have a question, I will read it and answer it. If you have a comment, I will read it and respond. Even more importantly, potentially, if you're interested in me opening up the phone lines, when we get 10 new subscribers on our website, davidpakman.com/membership, I will open up the phone lines and you can call in. I see that there are people that want to call in, and I'm glad to do that. We failed. We had like, I think, 14 or 15 live streams in a row where we hit 10 new members, and I opened up the live stream. The phone lines during the live stream. Last live stream, we fell short. We only had 9 new members, and it was kind of disturbing, to be quite honest. So today, if we get to 10 memberships, I will open up the phone lines. I have plenty of time to take a bunch of phone calls. 2 coupon codes are available, and let's see if I can put those up. Coupon code number 1 is This Is 2020. That'll save you 40% off of any membership. Winning. If you want to get a $60 membership for just $25, which I think is extraordinarily reasonable, you can apply the coupon code SAVE35 to the $60 a year membership, and that'll give you a $60 membership for just $25. And it's a great deal. You can keep that price for as long as you want. And again, if people want the phone lines opened, we don't ask for a lot. If you can't afford it, please don't contribute, because we do the show for everybody, regardless of whether you can afford it. But if you can throw in a couple bucks a month, like with a $25 a year membership, this is the time to do it. And if you include your area code in your name when you sign up, I will give you priority. If and when we open up the phone lines, I will go to you first. That's a new thing that was proposed. When you sign up on our website, either in the first name or last name field, put in your area code. And then when we open up the phone lines, I will see your area code as a member, and I will go to you first. Lastly, don't troll the live chat. I see that there's a lot of people trolling the live chat, and we do have moderators who are fully deputized to just ban people. And maybe I'll ban a couple of people just to show you that I'm not afraid to do it. And lastly, using the join button down below counts. If you join as a YouTube member, that counts towards our target of 10. So let's see what's on people's minds. I want to get to some of the super chats that have been sent in, starting with a horror fan for life who says about the whole Fox News Mexican country statement. I believe they did it on purpose just to put more anti-Mexican rhetoric out there. Fox is smart. Yeah, I don't know. For people who haven't seen that, let me see if I can pull it up. Fox News Mexican countries. Let's see if I can pull it up and show it to you. Yeah, here it is. So the other day, Fox News had this headline at the bottom of the screen: Trump cuts U.S. aid to 3 Mexican countries. Of course, what Trump did is cut aid not to 3 Mexican countries, but to 3 Latin American countries that were not Mexico. And what Horror Fan for Life here is suggesting is that this was not an accident, that this was actually something deliberately done by Fox News to foment anti-Mexican rhetoric. I don't know. I think it's more idiocy and stupidity. I actually don't think that it was so calculated, but I'm open to that idea. Mark Tenenbaum, who I played against in chess during the last live stream, and I think I won, asks, thoughts on Yang's answers during your interview? Yeah, so I interviewed Andrew Yang, 2020 presidential candidate, yesterday, who is getting more and more attention. He was on the Joe Rogan program. He was on all over the place, quite frankly, recently. And I've been interviewing him for like a year or more at this point. Not to pat myself on the back. I just think it's cool that we've actually been talking to someone who's going to be on the debate stage in the Democratic primary. I questioned him about my misgivings about the way he's structuring his universal basic income proposal, his position on tuition at colleges and universities that are public, paid for through taxation. I talked to him about these allegations that are floating around that he is some kind of stealth libertarian or alt-right guy. And I have to say, I was pretty satisfied with his answers. I know that after the fact, people wrote in and they said, David, you could have pushed him even further on this issue or that issue. I can always just continue one issue without dropping it. But, there were a number of things I wanted to ask about. Generally speaking, I was pleased with his answers. I don't have to agree with every single position of his. I think he's an honest actor, fundamentally. I don't believe that he's a stealth alt-rightist or libertarian. I think he's made that abundantly clear. He's disavowed sort of implicitly positive comments from people like Richard Spencer, for example. I was pleased with his answers, generally speaking. Sabrina Zafar says, can you speak in detail about your change in relationship or political agreement with Dave Rubin? Are you still in touch with Rubin? I am not in touch with Dave in any way personally. I'm trying to think. The last private contact I had with Dave Rubin was before I went to LA to Politicon, where I met Sabrina, by the way. And I said, I'm going to be there and I would love to be on. And he said, I'm going to be away that weekend. And then I got to LA and he announced on the day I was trying to get on his show that he's having Tucker Carlson on. And I said, I would have loved to have been on. I said it publicly. And he said, I'm a bad person because I did that. And so, here's the thing, Sabrina. I have no clue what Dave Rubin thinks of me at this point. I assume, he used to say he basically agrees with Bernie on everything. Now he says crazy Bernie. My guess is that he used to agree with me about a lot of stuff, and he probably now would categorize me in a different way, a more negative way. He has had I guess he says he's had a political awakening in his late 30s. That's rare. So his politics have changed, if we believe that, and mine have not. So that's basically it. And I would still be glad to appear on his program. I appear with people that have political disagreements with me all the time. Last time I was in LA, I did something with Jesse Lee Peterson. I appear with people who disagree with me on the left, the right, whatever. I'll appear. CJ Carr sends a 10 Australian dollar super chat saying, keep up the great work. Thank you, CJ. Let me say thank you to a few new members. I was really bummed out on the last live stream. We didn't hit 10 new members and we failed to open the phone lines, which I'm glad to do. at 617-830-4750. I don't want to fail today. And we have 2 new members. Matthew Rayfield has signed up on our website at davidpakman.com/membership. And GR's girlfriend has signed up on our website at davidpakman.com/membership. GR is known for super chatting completely unintelligible, incoherent rants, but we love him because he so regularly supports the show. And GR's girlfriend, Holly, has signed up. By the way, not only can you save a 40% off of membership if you use the coupon code This Is 2020, not only can you get a $60 membership for $25 if you use the coupon code SAVE35. If you include your area code when you sign up in either the first name or last name field, I don't care which, I will write down your area code on a piece of paper. Can you imagine something more arcane and antiquated? I will write your area code down, and you can hear my pen clicking, so that if and when we open the phone lines, everybody who got us to open the phone lines gets priority. Okay, I will go to the people who trigger, for lack of a better term, the opening of the phone lines by going to them first if and when we get those phone lines open. So very, very important and exciting stuff. Mel Wilson sends a $2 super chat and asks, thoughts on a potential Buttigieg versus Pence vice presidential debate. I think Buttigieg would crush Mike Pence. I mean, he would pull him out of his safe space, whether Pence wants it or not. And he would absolutely destroy Pence. But I'm not talking about VP yet. Before the 2018 midterms, I wasn't talking about the 2020 Democratic primary. It was too early. Right now, I'm not talking about VP stuff because it's too early. And I'm going to focus on presidential. M. Anthony sends a $1.99 super chat. A €1 message came in, but was retracted. I don't know from who, and I don't know what they said. Lulu Girl sends a 99-cent super chat. And Michael Kings sends a $4.99 super chat. Did you see the Washington Post article that claims Bernie is morally just as bad as Trump? It's called Bernie Sanders has emerged as the Trump of the left. Yeah, let me see if I can pull that up. Washington Post, Bernie is the new Trump. I'm going to search for and see if I can find it. Here it is. Let me see if I can get this article pulled up here. Oh my goodness, it is just toxic ads everywhere. Ads are everywhere, and I don't want to put those on the screen. Okay, let's take a look at that. I'm glad you mentioned that. And before I even do this, let me just say thank you to Harry Gillen. Harry Gillen gets us to 3 new members tonight. If and when we get to 10 new members, I will open the phone lines. And if you include your area code when you sign up, coupon codes down below in the description, I will give you priority on the phone lines. We're at 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. Okay, so let's get to this article. This article in the Washington Post, let's see if I can zoom it so that we can see a little more of it. This is not going well. Okay, I'm going to zoom back in because otherwise we won't be able to read it. Bernie Sanders has emerged as the Donald Trump of the left. It's by Dana Milbank. In politics, as in physics, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Hence, Senator Bernie Sanders' emergence as the Donald Trump of the left. Fundraising and polls show that many Democrats think the best answer to an angry old white guy with crazy hair, New York accent, and flair for demagoguery is, well, another angry old white guy with crazy hair, New York accent, and flair for demagoguery. It's not difficult to picture a scenario in which Bernie captures the Democratic presidential nomination with the same formula that worked for Trump with Republicans in 2016. On paper, the independent from Vermont doesn't make sense. Democrats are a party of youth, and he's 77. They're majority female, and he's a man. They represent the emerging multicultural America, and he's white. Statistically, he is the worst option against Trump. An NBC News poll this week found there are more voters with concerns about Sanders than with former Vice President Joe Biden, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and Senator Kamala Harris, or former Representative Beto O'Rourke. Yet Sanders has both more money and movement. His campaign on Tuesday announced a haul of $18.2 million in the first quarter from 525,000 individual contributors. The other major populist, early favorite Warren, has floundered in both money and popularity. Listen, so I'm not going to read this entire thing to you. Here's the thing Dana Milbank is ignoring. The fact that someone that didn't fit into the Republican mold won the Republican primary in 2016 doesn't mean that anyone who wins the Democratic primary, if Bernie does, without fitting into the Democratic mold, is the same as Trump. That's ridiculous. The fact that Bernie's identity may appear similar to Donald Trump's, number one, ignores that people may be supporting Bernie not because of his identity or despite it, but because they agree with his policy. That is completely ignored by Dana Milbank. Now, if you want to play the identity game, I disagree that Bernie and Donald Trump's identities are the same. I've expressed concerns that maybe going with another old, quote, white guy, although the debate over whether Jews are white continues, and it's just a debate I don't even want to have right now. Bernie Sanders was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth, and Donald Trump was. Bernie Sanders is Jewish, and Donald Trump is not, meaning Bernie Sanders, whether he gets the benefit of white privilege by presenting as white in modern American society, has a history of familial oppression that Donald Trump couldn't possibly understand as a guy who was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, to Fred Trump, who was a wealthy guy, to Friedrich Trump, who came to the United States from Germany, not oppressed in the 19th century. So if you want to play the identity game, I disagree that Bernie and Trump are the same in terms of identity, other than their age and the fact that they are both perceived as white in modern American society. Not incorrectly, but that's what it is. For a long time, Jews were not perceived as white. And I think that this entire argument is absolutely ridiculous. And it just is cynical in the sense that it ignores the possibility that the reason Bernie's doing well is not because of or despite his identity, but because people like his policy and people like his policy position. So I think it's an absolutely ridiculous article. Okay, let me, where do we want to go next? Let me go back to Super Chats. Oh, and a bunch came in here. Let's see. Let me scroll up. Wow, a lot of, here it is. Okay, Jake A says, your videos make me feel like I'm in school. Thanks. I don't know if that's good or bad, Jake, but I appreciate the support. Lulu Girl says, I enjoyed your critical thinking series. Thanks. Thank you very much. Jared Johnson with a 20 Mexican peso super chat. So like 40 to 60 minutes on the hair every day. Too nice. No, you know, this, it really doesn't take long to maintain this hair. And I may one day, we're trying to get them to sponsor the show. I may one day reveal what hair product I use. I've actually revealed it before, but I won't mention it now. All that happens is I get out of the shower, I slick it straight back, put some of this product in, and then just part it and then run my hands through it, and then it dries. That could be, me doing this could actually be turned into a GIF or a GIF. That's all it takes. And it basically stays this way. I was just out in the wind buying some fruit, if you can believe it. And it was a mess. I came back, got into the studio, and just 5 seconds and it's ready to go. So for not, I think I probably spend about a minute on my hair each day. James Buccino, how do you feel about Andrew Yang after the last interview? Do you still think he's in your top 3 candidates? Yes, I actually already got and I think I may have just frozen momentarily again. I actually just got an earlier super chat about it. And I was pleased with Andrew Yang's answers yesterday and today on the program. And he is still in my top 3 for sure. Geroidin ni Muiris Rua, probably the worst pronunciation ever on the program, is a new member using the join button down below. That's the 4th new member of the evening. If we get 10 new members, I will open up the phone lines. Billy sends a $2 super chat. Do you think the Department of Justice will comply with the Mueller report subpoenas? I think the most likely scenario is they comply by the letter and not the spirit. I think the most likely scenario is the DOJ provides a report that they will claim has only the minimum necessary redactions, but will actually contain a number of political redactions. That if I had to bet, and I don't bet, that would be the most likely scenario. Supman Dude says, will Trump win in 2020 if Biden gets the nomination? I think that Trump winning in 2020 is not going to be primarily influenced by who gets the Democratic nomination, assuming it's not somebody who really is unelectable. I think it will be more influenced by voter turnout and what happens between now and then with the Trump administration. New Made Umosa with a 10 British pound super chat says hashtag David versus Sam. Hashtag super chats keep flowing in, smiley face. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I'm going to see Sam next week. And I was just talking to him. I was texting with him yesterday because Stefan Molyneux attacked me on Twitter. And we were just chatting about it and what I should do, if anything. Jacqueline Speweg with a €5 super chat. Thanks to you and your team for your great work. Thank you for your support, Jacqueline. N name withheld says the Trump camp is sitting back and saying more candidates, more candidates. That may be. I truly don't think at this point Trump benefits or loses if there are more Democratic candidates at this stage. Candidates are going to start dropping out. I think within 3 months, some candidates will be gone. Don't think it's going to impact Trump too much one way or the other. GR has reappeared, who says, either way, DZ, there's only two, and one has already lost it. The mind, where is it? I don't know, Pacman. I don't know. It is not hopeless. Love, GR. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And Miko Pispala, or Pispala, with a €5 super chat. You called Roseanne racist for Planet of the Apes tweet. Rogan called black neighborhood POTA, POTA, but you let it slide, Planet of the Apes, but you let it slide because you want to get his popular PC to his popular, you want to get to his popular podcast. Oh, okay. Listen, I don't know what you're talking about. I've heard of that clip. I saw it years ago, and I thought that Joe Rogan was satirizing racism. I could be wrong. I don't know. I just doesn't feel like that's a huge thing for my audience. Okay, let me talk about something serious. And at some point, I haven't addressed this on the broadcast show yet. And the reason why, there's a few reasons why, which I'll go into when I ultimately do. But we are sort of experiencing a minor adpocalypse 2.0 on our YouTube channel. Now, if you're relatively new to the channel, Adpocalypse 1.0, as it is now known, took place at the beginning of April of 2017. So it's been basically two years almost to the day since this took place. And because of some advertisers pulling advertising from YouTube over ads that appeared on racist content, we experienced for about a month a 99% drop in our ad revenue, and it absolutely crushed us. And over time, ad revenue has sort of recovered to some degree, but also our channel has really grown. So a lot of the sort of recovery is not so much that ad revenue has come back on a per view basis, but that our channel now has 620,000 subscribers and about 10 million views a month, when 2 years ago it was only getting like 6 million views a month. So part of the recovery has been we've just grown, okay? And things have sort of settled. In the last 72 hours, I have grown extraordinarily concerned that we are experiencing the early stages possibly of Adpocalypse 2.0. And what we are experiencing are videos that are completely brand safe get demonetized. I'll give you some examples. And in fact, maybe I should pull up our YouTube channel in order to be able to show this to you. I'll give you some examples from yesterday's program, and this is really not a good thing. Where do we start? Let me see if I can start. Where are yesterday's clips? Okay, here we go. This video, which we put out, was our 4:30 clip. Cringe-inducing Candace Owens' Dave Rubin interview is self-parody. The underlying video, it was an analysis of an interview between Candace Owens and Dave Rubin, is monetized. I commented on it, adding nothing that is in any way not brand safe, not un-FCC safe. That video was demonetized or put in a limited monetization state by YouTube. We immediately appeal. It can take 7 to 10 days for a person to actually look at the video, at which point most of the video's views have already happened. In this case, 43,000 views. We will have lost the revenue by the time the advertising gets turned back on. Our Andrew Yang interview, fortunately, remained monetized. Jordan Peterson, not political, goes to extremist Christian university. I'm sorry, it's sort of off the screen. Placed immediately in a limited monetization state. Off to a nice start, 20,000 views. I'm guessing that's a clip that will end up with 70 to 80,000 views eventually. Currently earning us no money whatsoever. Why? I have no idea. It's Jordan Peterson sitting at Liberty University talking on a panel and me talking about it. Limited monetization. I'll give you another example from today. Obviously, this Patriot Mail clip it hasn't published yet. That one has been demonetized, and we knew that it would. From today's program, this video, Trump suddenly against releasing Mueller report, which published just 3 minutes ago, it is, at least when we looked at it earlier, in a limited monetization state. It's about a Justice Department report, for crying out loud, and maybe not anymore. It was marked as mature audiences only. It made you confirm that you understood that there may be content not suitable for young people. Other than the corruption exposed in the clip, I don't know what that could possibly be. That creates viewer abandonment. That makes it so that we end up earning a fraction of the money that we normally would on YouTube. I've reached out to my current partner manager. I've reached out to my old partner manager asking for help. I've reached out to the YouTube beta team, which has nothing to do with monetization, just because we are desperate. This is not good. And this is exactly what I have been sort of thinking internally, which is YouTube revenue has recovered. We cannot count on it because at any time, at the snap of a finger or at the snap of a change to the algorithm, we lose a significant portion of that money. So it's particularly important right now that we continue to do the stories that we think are important. The last thing I want to do, and I wouldn't do this, and we didn't do it during Adpocalypse, was to start picking stories that would remain monetized. The whole point of the show is we do the stories that I determine are stories that we should do. And the way that we continue to do that is by membership support. I know some people are sick of hearing me say it, but every time someone becomes a member, that's a video that doesn't matter whether it's monetized or not, because we're building our support organically through the audience. Okay. So I know we talk a lot about on the live streams. If you sign up, I'll open up the phone lines, and I will if we get to 10 new members today. But please do, if you want the show not only to continue growing, but if you think it's important, as I know most people do, maybe not the trolls, for me to do the stories that matter rather than the stories that will be monetized. And that's not something I would ever do. And we did it. We kept our policy throughout Adpocalypse when we had lost 99% of our revenue. The best thing you can do as a sort of sign of support is to sign up for a membership. The memberships are really cheap. I've got a coupon code. This is 2020. It'll save you 40% off of any membership. I have a coupon code SAVE35, which only works on the $60 a year membership. It'll drop a $60 a year membership to $25. If you can afford $2.08 a month, that's roughly what $25 a year is. If you think what we're doing is worthwhile and it's worth $25 a month, I'm asking for your support. It really does make a difference, particularly as we may be in the early stages of Adpocalypse 2.0. I've talked to, one of the reasons I've been talking to so many other progressive hosts over the last a few days is that it's not just the David Pakman Show channel that is experiencing this. So please, please, please consider supporting. Include your coupon, your area code in your name when you sign up. And if we open up the phone lines, I will go to you first. I will give priority to the people that get us to open the phone line. So that's that. That's the rant. That's what's going on with YouTube. And it sucks. But the one thing I will say, and I was talking to our partners about this yesterday, giving them a sort of first quarter report of what's going on. As YouTube revenue recovered over the last year, I always considered it speculative, erratic, and unreliable for exactly this reason. It's a bummer, but it's what we're dealing with. Okay, I see a lot of people are sending me messages here. Peter Cureni sends a $4.99 super chat. James Buccino, why does Andrew Yang make your top three over others? I just have so much political agreement with Andrew Yang. There are so many issues on which Andrew Yang and I agree. So it's a political thing. Andrew Yang, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders. I'm ignoring identity for the time being. They are the three candidates that I believe I am most aligned with politically. Jeroidin ni Muiris Rua sends a €2 super chat. Hi, David. Brexit, do you follow it? What are your thoughts? I'm not an expert on Brexit. I am against Brexit. The day after it happened, I said it may never happen. And I still believe that that may be the case. And I still believe that that's what would be best for the UK over the long term. So I follow it casually, I guess I would say. Matt McHenry says universal basic income plus VAT tax and not stacking with welfare is a yikes. I agree, and I confronted Andrew Yang about this stuff on yesterday and today's interview, and he had a lot of the right answers to my concerns. I don't agree with him 100% about how he would structure it, but I agree with a lot of it, and I think he generally is an honest actor and totally genuine. I just simply disagree with him about some of the details of the implementation. Horror Fan for Life says, between horror movies, my love of monsters, and all things macabre, I can't believe I am living in a real scary movie like I'm in a nightmare, aka Trump. A lot of people agree with you. No question about that. Sam Dean, who joins us from Australia with a 10 Australian dollars super chat. G'day, mate. How do you feel about America's worldwide reputation? As an Australian, the whole German dad, oranges, windmill stuff might be pretty funny if it wasn't so frightening. Thoughts, cheers. Yeah, listen, America's reputation around the world is in the toilet. It is disgusting what we are experiencing. It is going to take years to recover from it. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's going to take a long time. And, you know, if Donald Trump is experiencing cognitive decline, if saying the noise from wind turbines causes cancer is a sign of pre-dementia, if saying his dad was born in Germany when his dad was born in New York is a sign of pre-dementia, if saying that he wants to know the oranges rather than the origins of the Mueller probe is a sign of pre-dementia, it's not anything to make fun of. It's sad. Trump's policies are disgusting, but if he's having a cognitive issue, he shouldn't be president. It's nothing to make fun of. It's sad and it's a danger for the United States of America. C.W. Hambone, anti-imperialist left synonymous with Leninist left? No, I think being against empire is one thing, and being part of the so-called Leninist left is different, and there could be overlap in those groups, but I think that they're two different things. Supman Dude says, what if Trump doesn't accept the election results? Listen, let's deal with that when we get to it. I think it is an extraordinarily unlikely scenario. The right accused Barack Obama of being on the verge of enacting martial law, suspending the 2016 election. There was never any indication he would do that. Trump has actually said he might not accept election results. The only way he can lose is through fraud. 3 to 5 million people voted illegally. It's kind of cool. He likes it. I don't remember his exact phrasing, that the Chinese president is trying president for life, and maybe we'll try it sometime. There are more reasons to think that Donald Trump might try to not accept election results if he loses, but let's deal with that when we get to it. I think American law enforcement is more than well enough equipped to deal with that. Sabrina Zafar says, is the David Pakman Show live show in Boston still a thing? Yes, I'm actually going on Friday to look at a possible, what I would call a candidate venue. And I'm a little concerned about the ability to have like a bar with drinks and snacks. And I want to make sure that the bathrooms are suitable. The last thing I would want, can you imagine? Imagine if we have this live event and the bathrooms are a disaster, and like the guests that we have are disturbed by the poor facilities we're providing them. So I'm going to go check out a space on Friday. I want to make sure that it will be suitable. And then I will have more information about that. G. Tigner or Tyner is a new member using the join button down below. That's new member number 5 for the evening. And I also want to thank Clayton Helmrich, who has signed up for a membership at davidpakman.com/membership. That is new member number 6. If we get to 10, I'll open the phone lines. If we don't, I won't. I think it's important if I issue a challenge that I have to stick to it. So only 4 more new members, and I'll open up the phone lines. If you want priority when we open the phone lines, if we open them, include your area code when you sign up on our website in either the first name field or the last name field. And if I see an area code come in with new memberships, I will give you priority when we open the phone lines and let you participate before anybody else. Jimmy from Philly. Oh boy, Jimmy from Philly. I don't even know if I should. Let's not even get into it. Jimmy from Philly sends a $2 super chat. Message not sent. Edit and try again. Jimmy, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, but there's going to be a revelation about Jimmy from Philly on the show somewhat soon, which I think is going to be maybe disturbing, but probably more sad in general. And Jimmy has been, yeah, Jimmy's been leaving voicemail still. We had a conversation actually about this. Let's see what Jimmy is saying. The phone line is closed. It'll open if we get 10 new members. Let me see what Jimmy had to say.
So, David, Jimmy from Philly here. So I just watched your latest video where Trump speaks, and you claim that this is precognitive decline.
No, it's not precognitive. That would be more like out of the Minority Report. It's just pre-dementia or early cognitive decline.
Or pre-dementia, and yet the phone conversation I just had with you a couple hours ago, you claimed that I was angry on the voicemail I left about the tranny, Natalie Wynn. And I told you.
Okay, so he rambles in that one, and then he left another voicemail. There's a lot of hang-ups. Yep, that's just a hang-up from Jimmy from Philly. And yeah, so anyway, Jimmy from Philly, a lot going on, but I appreciate the $2 super chat. Enter Name sends a $5 super chat. F, Marry, Kill, Beyonce, Rihanna, Taylor Swift. That's interesting. Let me indulge that. Let me think about that. And by the way, this is a horrible game, but I'm going to indulge it because I'm doing what the people are calling for. Beyonce, Rihanna, or Taylor Swift. I would probably, I wouldn't kill anyone, but if I had to, it'd probably be Taylor Swift from those three. And then I would marry Beyonce. That's probably the way it would shake out for me. New Made Umosa with a 10 British pound super chat. Is there any point in debating or discussing to Stefan Molyneux when his fans want to believe the rubbish that he spouts, particularly the rubbish that black people are supposedly genetically inferior? I don't think there's much of a point to debating Molyneux cultists. And, as a goof, I mean, okay, well, I'll engage with some of it on Twitter or whatever, but I don't really think there is much of a point to it. I think it's, listen, didn't he tear up from happiness about some like whites only gathering? It wasn't by definition whites only, but I think that there's like almost only white people in Poland. Guy's very weird. I think that there's something off about him, as if most of my audience doesn't realize that already. GameFire74 with a $5.17 super chat. Breaking New York Times. Some on Mueller's team see their findings as more damaging for Trump than Barr revealed. What are your thoughts? Obvious. And let's see. I'm going to copy and paste that. I want to check out that article. Let me take a look here. Okay. 17 minutes ago. I see an article from trust.org. Reuters has not verified. Okay, so I've got to find that story. Yeah, that would not be even remotely surprising, and it is exactly what I've been saying. Although I was way wrong, way wrong about everything forever. Nouvelle Cos says, who's your favorite current U.S. politician serving at any level? Who's your favorite of all time, living or deceased? What non-politician should run? Yeah, I'm not like a fanboy of anybody, I have to say. So I couldn't even say my favorite politician. I don't see these people as in this way. There's people I agree with and people I disagree with. I really struggle because I don't really have favorites in that way. What non-politician should run? You know who I think would be an interesting elected official? And I'm sure I disagree with him about stuff, but because of his personality and because of who he is, I think that I hope he's not playing anymore. I think he's retired. Former basketball player Steve Nash, who I think is Canadian anyway. I actually find him interesting as someone who speaks about politics in a way that I think is very relatable and has the right views about a lot of issues, just to name somebody. James Buccino says, what are the ticket prices for the David Pakman Show live in Boston? No ticket prices have been established yet. My idea is that they should be between 15 and $25. I want to make it accessible. Maybe if it's 25, it'll include like a drink ticket or something like that. But I don't want it to be expensive. I want it to be accessible, but it's got to cover the cost, and I want to put on a good event. Will Rains says, can you expand on the UBI VAT disagreement with Andrew Yang? Okay, here's the thing. Let me take a sip of water. Andrew Yang, the way he wants to fund universal basic income is through what's called a value added tax. Now, a value added tax, let's see how it's actually formally defined. VAT tax. Okay. Value added tax. Well, that's the wrong framing. The value added tax in the European Union is a broadly based consumption tax assessed on the value added to goods and services. It applies more or less to all goods and services that are bought and sold for use or consumption in the European Union. The disagreement is that when you put a value added tax in place, percentage wise, it's regressive. Now, why is it regressive? You might say rich people spend way more money than poor people because they have more money. And that's true. But on a percentage basis, rich people spend a much smaller percentage of their money than poor people because rich people have excess money which they can save, which means that on a percentage basis, poor people end up paying much more of their income as a rate to a VAT tax than rich people. So that's the disagreement. I don't like the VAT tax for that reason. And Andrew Yang had his perspective, and he presented it on the interview, which is on our YouTube channel. X says, if you allow me to moderate, I will not disappoint. I'm interested in more moderators. Actually, let me take this as an opportunity. We are looking to add moderators to the David Pakman Show YouTube channel and to the David Pakman Show subreddit. Here's how you apply. We're not doing it via Super Chat. If you want to be invited to moderate, get in touch with me using the website contact form at davidpakman.com. Tell me if you want to moderate on Reddit or on YouTube or both, and send me a link to your profile. If you want to moderate on Reddit, send me a link to your Reddit profile. If you want to moderate on YouTube, send me a link to your YouTube account. You can Google how to find a link to that. It's just like your home channel profile page, whatever. We need more people moderating on both Reddit and YouTube because both channels keep growing and growing. So get in touch with me. We actually are looking for people, and I'm glad that you brought it up. Jimmy from Philly. Now you're cutting off my voicemails. Beautiful. Yes, I am, Jimmy. I am. Chris Brown with a $16.99 New Zealand dollar super chat. Do you think there's a way for foreign countries to push back against U.S. influence? Thinking of the Christchurch shooter being radicalized by extreme views being peddled by some groups in the U.S. It's tough. I mean, we live in a globalized world right now, and American media being so prevalent, movies, TV shows, what happens in the news, it would be pretty tough. It would be pretty tough unless you do something very, very heavy-handed, which I would probably be against. So yeah, I don't know how you do that, Chris. But I understand wanting to. I really do. You should see the influence of American culture in my birth country of Argentina. It's truly stunning. Let me say welcome to Daniel Coate, who has signed up on our website. He is new member number 7 of the evening. I will warn you, I'm starting to get closer to the end of my time this evening. So if people want me opening the phone lines, it's just 3 more members. 3 more members. We can do this. We're talking about a couple bucks a month. Daniel has included his area code, and it looks like actually he's local to the Boston area, or at least Massachusetts. So that means that if and when we open the phone lines, Daniel, and I'm writing down his area code now, will be the first caller. And 3 more new members will open the phone lines. And if you include your area code in the first or last name field when you sign up, I will go to you first when I open up the phone lines. Very easy. It's pretty cheap. It's pretty, when I go and do speaking gigs, I'm not Ben Shapiro, but I command a speaking fee. But for $2 a month, you can get on the phone with me right now. How about that as how about that as a sales pitch for you? DeBarnu says, if Trump is removed from office, is Pence actually better? No, I think in a lot of ways Pence is worse, and I've said it before. Also, get Jesse Lee Peterson on your live show. That'd be great. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what I find funny about Jesse Lee Peterson is when he interviews me, his questions are so wacky and ridiculous that it's funny to just be interviewed by him and comment on the questions. He really doesn't like it when you call out his questions as bogus. I don't know that it would be that interesting if I interviewed him, because he would just talk about, Trump, the Great White Hope, and all of this stuff. I don't think it would be that interesting. But my management, my team, is in negotiations for a possible big Jesse Lee Peterson related event, and I'll announce that as soon as I'm allowed to. James Kirk says, "Hi, David. If he wins, who do you think Bernie will select as his vice president? Do you think he may go with a female? Is AOC old enough?" I don't think AOC is old enough. I don't know, and I'm I mentioned this earlier. I'm not thinking about VP stuff at this point in time. It's just too early. I'm focused on the candidate, period. And I don't know who Bernie would pick, and I don't know who I would recommend. And I think we should just focus on the primary right now. Now my phone is blowing up. I think I might have said something that offended someone. No, they're not offended. They're liking the stream. Okay, that's good. Matt D says, do you think if Trump is the Republican nominee, even though some Republicans dislike him right now, they would still vote majorly along party lines in 2020? Of course. Yeah. I mean, if Trump is the nominee, he's going to be the nominee. I don't see any real way that anybody challenges him successfully. It would be great if someone challenges him enough to weaken him. That I would like to see that. But I think, yes, Republicans are going to vote him along party lines, which is why the left needs turnout. The left needs turnout to win. C.W. Hambone says, what distinguishes the Leninist left? Okay, there's a sort of there's a trio or four different ideas that are common to the Leninist left. One is sort of, what's the word I want to apply to it? Not so much concerning, but thinly veiled defenses of authoritarian dictators are a sign of the Leninist left. The defense of the authoritarian Maduro Chavez regime is a sign. The total irrational skepticism to anything Russia-Trump related beyond logic and a healthy level of skepticism is often a sign of the Leninist left. I've got a video on it, so you could check it out. Booger Stinkplop sends a $10 super chat. David, I've come to realize a failing of mine is that I don't seek out conservative viewpoints and am sheltering myself. Can you recommend someone who isn't a psychopath or carrying water for Fox News? Not really, no, I can't. I mean, I could give you some ideas of, here, I don't like answering this question because I don't want to promote right-wingers who I think are doing damage to the country. And you can very easily find people. I think that there are, if you want to read books rather than look for YouTube clips, there are definitely what I would call principled conservatives who I don't find to be hateful. I find that they argue in good faith. I've got a list, and maybe I'll do a clip about that. There is a list of people that I think are sort of reasonable people with whom I respectfully disagree. Matt D. Do you think it would ever be possible for stronger gun control legislation, given the power, wealth, and influence of the NRA? It's possible once we decide that we are going to change campaign finance and the lobbyist industrial complex, and once we depoliticize guns in a way where a significant portion of the country has to stop fetishizing them. I mean, that has to happen if we're going to really be able to do anything about gun control and gun safety. Otherwise, it's going to be more of the same, sadly. Horror fan for life. You and Howard Stern are my favorite on-air personalities. Yeah, I've been listening to Howard Stern for probably 20 years. Very, very exciting episode this morning. Richard shit his pants, which is extraordinarily high level and nuanced and insightful commentary. But no, I've been a Howard fan for 20 years and still listen. But by the way, he's got to be doing more shows. 3 days a week with what, 12 or 14 weeks a year vacation. I get that he's got 500 million, but people want to hear more of what. But and I should say, the pop interviews, like when he had what was that band? Maybe someone can tell me. In there's a five. The number five is in the band name. It's like five. It's like a boy band with the number five in it. Maybe someone can tell me here in the chat. Five. What is the name of this boy band that is five dudes? And what is that? So I know someone's going to type it any second, and then I'm going to feel stupid, or maybe I won't feel stupid. Five guys, the Jackson Five. 5 seconds of summer. Yeah, no, not Maroon Five. 5 Is it 5 seconds of summer? That sounds wrong. 5 seconds of summer. Yeah, when Howard Stern interviewed 5 seconds of summer, that's who he would have been goofing on, even as recently as 8 years ago, and definitely 15. What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, CW Hambone. Do you think Progressive Voice could get away with his business model if he wasn't an endearing kid? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And in fact, I know there's someone, a friend of mine does the podcast version of what Progressive Voice does, although in a slightly more nuanced way. No offense to Progressive Voice. I'm just saying it's in a less kind of shock value TMZ type of way. And he gets away with it again because he's doing something kind of unique and particular. But no, and Progressive Voice better be careful he doesn't age out of everybody allowing him to do what he does. Riley Milburn, hey David, have you done any research on Pete Buttigieg yet? His campaign has been gaining steam recently, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. I have done research on him, and I like his delivery. I like his personality. I have some political disagreements with him, which I'm planning an upcoming clip on. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I do want to comment on him soon, and I think he's a very, very interesting candidate. I have seen that in polling and in fundraising, he's starting to see an uptick. And I think it would be very interesting if he becomes a contender. Earlier in the stream, I said he would absolutely crush Mike Pence in a vice presidential debate. I think that it would be an interesting dynamic with Donald Trump, although different than with Mike Pence. And I will soon be commenting. On Pete Buttigieg, and we were trying to get him on the program. A lot of people tweeting to him and tweeting to him and me that I should interview him, and I would love to. We've reached out once or twice and have not heard back, sadly. But he's welcome on the program, absolutely anytime. Okay, on that note, I think that's it for today. We sadly have fallen short of the target of 10 new members to open up the phone lines. And I've got to, if we don't reach it, I really should not be opening the phone lines because otherwise I'm disincentivizing signups. So I will stream again soon. If enough people get in touch with me and say they want a live stream tomorrow, I will do a live stream tomorrow. But for now, this is it. And I appreciate everybody who did join me tonight.